Good morning, everybody. Thank you for me the opportunity to speak today at Siegfried Advisory. Been a member of the Union League for about 10 years. Been involved with Business Leadership Forum the whole time. I'm also involved with the Golf Society as well as the Entrepreneurial Roundtable. I was involved with some other affinity clubs at different times, but really excited to have the opportunity to present today a little bit. Two of my colleagues have joined me here as well, Kaylee Lester, Dave Campbell. I don't know, maybe some of you may know Dave's father is also a member. Chuck Campbell is a member of the Union League as well. But grateful to have the opportunity to present. I'm going to speak about the business life cycle, supporting transformative growth of growing businesses, as well as how to build scalable and sustainable accounting and finance organizations. So I'm going to go through some information about our firm first, go through a little bit of a presentation about the topic, and then share a few examples. Hopefully this can be interactive. We can ask questions at the end, or if something comes up throughout, this is meant to be an interactive presentation. So please raise your hand if you have a question. But with that being said, I'll start. I'll get right into it here. So Siegfried Advisory is a CPA firm. It's an affiliate of the overall Siegfried Group. Siegfried Group is a national CPA services firm headquartered in Wilmington, Delaware. We have about 1,500 professionals across the country in 20 offices, 2 affiliated businesses. One is called Siegfried Resources, which focuses on Fortune 1000 companies, providing accounting and financial professionals under a talent delivery model, working under the client's management and direction. We provide them with really strong resources to help them execute on strategic projects. Siegfried Advisory, same common ownership, separate company. It's a CPA firm, a little bit more regionally based, Wilmington, Philly, New York, Northern Virginia, DC area, and we focus more on the entrepreneurial market, small to middle market companies, growing organizations, all industries, high net worth family offices. Although we're a CPA firm, our firm's focus and mission has a lot to do with leadership, individual leadership, personal leadership, leadership of others. This is our higher purpose. We help people transform themselves into better leaders to exponentially improve their lives. You might be saying, what is a CPA firm doing with that type of a higher purpose? But as we've been in business for 35 years, what we've realized is really if you focus on your individual leadership of others, what's most important in your life, personally, professionally, and what we do is we ask our clients questions throughout the life cycle to understand what those most important priorities are, help them focus on that, and achieve those goals by focusing on that strategy of individual leadership. In terms of our service offerings, it starts with what we call leadership advisory, again, focusing on the leadership aspects of life, personally, professionally, the people that you're leading, and then asking them questions about what's most important, how do we achieve those goals. And then from there, we have 2 service offerings. Financial advisory is actually led by Dave Campbell here. It's kind of 4 key pillars: financial planning and analysis, controllership, accounting and advisory, and financial due diligence. So, I'm going to speak a little bit about all these today, but FP&A is kind of what we really want to be known for. It's helping companies understand their business, understand key metrics, and then helping to drive successful growth, profitability, cash flow, enterprise value. Controllership's kind of the thing before that, right? Getting timely, accurate financial statements closed. We do that on a fractional or project base. Accounting advisory is kind of the catch-all, everything else. And then we do a lot of financial due diligence, quality of earnings. So in this financial advisory world, it's anything under a CFO umbrella. It's anything accounting and finance, but for an audit. Years ago, we did audits. We decided that's not really where we want to focus. We want to be more of an advisor. And then the other half of our business is tax advisory. Certainly, Lindsay would have joined me today, but they're knee-deep in the middle of busy season right now. But anything in the tax world, planning, compliance, family office services, bill pay, investor or family reporting, tax advisory, and we do provide full-time tax resources to companies that may need a full-time resource in the tax world. When we talk to our clients, this is referred to as our 5-on-5. What our clients can expect from us and what we expect from our clients is kind of a mutual partnership, mutually beneficial partnership. But oftentimes when we have a disconnect with a client relationship, it's one of these 10 things. So we try to have a process where we revisit this annually with our clients to talk about how are we executing on our promises, and then sometimes if there's an issue with the relationship, it tends to be one of these things that maybe we're not respecting each other. But it's pretty simple stuff, right? We want to be a trusted leadership advisor. We want to understand what your needs are. We have high caliber professionals. We're very focused on hiring the right people with the right intangible skills. We have a performance assurance review process where that's our way to get our feedback on how our clients are performing. We're not the cheapest firm. We don't want to be, but we want to be fair for the value that we're providing. We think our fees are fair for the benefit that you're receiving. And then these are our promises to our people. As I said, we have about 1,500 people. We're really focused on hiring the right people with intangible skills. We have a lot of young professionals that are seeking new opportunities for growth, and we probably hire 250 people on an annual basis, but we lose some either for clients or other situations. So we have a real focus here about personal development. We provide interesting and challenging work and a distinctive culture with an attractive comp and a compelling business strategy. So that's a little bit about us. In terms of the kinds of clients that we focus on, Phil had asked, saw this slide earlier, but we're really focused on the mindset of the client. We're really trying to focus with growth leadership type mindset folks. Sometimes we're dealing with some folks that are in the disappointed striver mindset there, and we're trying to help them get to this growth leadership. I think we see that they have the opportunity there, but they're just not there yet. Some of our folks that we interact with may be in this satisfied achievers place in their life, and to be honest with you, those aren't the clients that we're really seeking because they're not looking to learn more, transform, become better individuals. So we're trying to focus on the mindset of a growth leader, people that want to continually learn, transform, and just highly motivated individuals. In terms of the other qualities that we look at, what we showed this slide a lot, both internally and externally. It's got a lot on it. But what we found is that people that have really strong individual leadership qualities, character ethic, seem to have more success in their life. However you define success. And then we focus in our conversations about a term that we call freedoms. What freedoms do you want to have more in your life? Do you want to have more time? Do you want to have more money? Do you want to have more health or whatever activities you want to do? And part of this whole leadership advisory has them focus on what are those freedoms that they want to get more of. Like for me personally, it'd be time and just focus on health. And then how do we try to align strategies to provide them with those freedoms? So that's a bit about Siegfried Advisory, the kinds of clients that we serve, the kinds of focus in our firm. But let me go through a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of the presentation today. So we're speaking about transformative businesses. We service clients that are in all these phases of their life cycle, from inception to sale. In some cases, we're there along the way from 1 to 5, but in other situations, we just plug in along the way. And I'm going to speak a little bit about what we see as what the business is focusing on at these phases, as well as where we can add value. And then there's certainly partnership opportunities with other advisors in each stage of their growth. So in the first one here, we're talking about the inception of their business, right? So we're dealing with the business owner, the entrepreneur, to understand what is their passion, right? What is the thing that has them excited about starting this new business? And then we're helping them to identify what are the capital requirements that you need to start your business. What's the business structure look like? Who are some of your key partners? They're focusing on developing a business plan. What's the target market? What they're trying to determine is their value proposition to the marketplace, and how are they going to approach the fundraising? That's what the business owner is focused on. What we try to do to help them achieve those goals is we work with them to develop their business plan. Developing a pro forma, developing a business plan strategy for the growth of the business. We can help them model out the economics and the revenue strategies of their business, establish budgets, and also advising them what's the best tax structure for this business? Is it an LLC? Is it a corporation? And then how are you going to raise the capital needed to grow this business? And then in terms of the partnership opportunities, we're collaborating a lot with some of these other service providers in the legal area, in terms of the right structure, in terms of, they're going to hire folks, in terms of the employee law matters, capital raise, how are you going to fund the company for this growth? Are you going to go out externally to bring in extra money? Do you have the money to fund, seed money to start this business? And then, what tools do you need to get the business started off the ground? So these are the three areas that we're focusing on the inception of the business. At this point in their life cycle, they are pretty, usually pretty thin. It might be only a few individuals. They don't really have a real strong accounting or finance group, if at all. A lot of it's an outsourced function, trying to help them on the ground to get things started. This is an exciting phase of the life cycle, but on our side, it's an investment, right? We're generally dealing with pretty small companies in a startup phase, understand their business strategy, and looking for the long-term opportunities to partner with these companies. As we move forward in the launch phase, now they're starting to generate some revenues. They're putting their ideas into practice and establishing their customer base. They're establishing their supply chain, manufacturing process, perhaps, if it's in that space or industry. They're starting to produce some financial statements. They need to understand their cash burn and the cash flow of the organization going forward, and they're starting to plan for growth. So in our advisory world, we're helping them create some accounting controls. They don't have, again, it's usually a very light staff. They may have a bookkeeper, either internally or externally, so we're kind of supporting them on an outsource or a fractional basis, whatever the case might be. We need to help them create their accounting controls, so there's no mismanagement of the funds and the opportunity for risk there. But a lot of times we talk to clients about, do you have a budget? Do you have a forecast? Do you have a plan? It amazes me sometimes that they don't formalize that. So we really push our clients to establish budgets as detailed as you can, especially with a focus on cash flow planning. And then we would come in, either partnering with another outside bookkeeping service or do it ourselves, but we would do the monthly accounting, cash reconciliations, and just overall support as they continue to grow. Again, on the partnership opportunity side, similar some of the same names there, but a few new ones. We're starting to potentially deal with banks in terms of debt to help support the growth, maybe a line of credit, put together the financial statements to present to the bank. They're starting to hire people, so we may interact with external recruiting firms, other folks to help these companies find some people, the talent that they're looking for in all different disciplines. They're going to need some financial statements. They're going to need to potentially have an audit done, so we can kind of support that next phase in their life. And then they're starting to put together some systems, and we don't do systems implementations, but we can certainly support that from an accounting finance perspective. And then they need to partner with an insurance firm in this launch phase. So just getting things in order for the next phase. And as they continue to grow then, maybe they do go out and they have their own controller, right? So then maybe our focus shifts a little bit. But what the business is looking at then is pursuing new opportunities as they continue to grow. How do we achieve more profitability and cash flow from our business? Maybe they're growing to the point where they're going to look for some growth opportunities. Maybe they're thinking about M&A. They certainly need to continue focus on satisfying their requirements with any bank relationships and lenders and investors they have. And then now that they're growing, they're profitable, we have a little bit more focus on tax structuring, tax planning, tax advisory. We want to make sure that the taxes are being managed, mitigated, deferred, whatever the case might be, appropriately. So what we like to try to do then is implement a disciplined process of reviewing the financial statements, both the current year-to-date financials as well as going forward, right? How do we analyze the financial performance of the company? How do we build a long-range plan? Potentially, if supporting them in the due diligence phase, if they're looking at making acquisitions of other companies, we can support on the financial and tax due diligence. We would also help them on their financial statement needs, audit readiness, technical accounting, and then we're going to continue to support them in their expansion as they grow, and again with a focus on tax planning. So at this point, we find a lot of times, okay, well, now they're starting to have more employees. Healthcare plans becomes a potential thing that they need to focus on. How do we provide the right healthcare plans, benefit plans for our employees to attract the right talent into our firm as we continue to grow? So these are some of the other marketing agencies, talent acquisition still, but it's more of a collaborative approach, working with these other advisors to bring the full service capabilities to the table for the company to help them achieve their growth. And then they get to maturity, right? So in this phase of the life cycle, they probably have a CFO, they probably have a full-time controller. Maybe our focus shifts more again to advisory in certain areas. And from the company's perspective, they're really making money here. What's the enterprise value of the company? How do we continue to enhance enterprise value, focus on EBITDA, cash flow, and with an overall focus on the valuation of the business? Again, looking at their capital structure and for the future, and then just continuing to manage expenses, find efficiencies in the business to prepare this business for the next transition period. In our world, we're refining the accounting and finance processes. We're increasing the forecasting ability for the company to really focus on cash flow. We want to identify and support growth and cost strategies again. A lot of interactions with the bank, the investors, to provide them with whatever financial statements they may need or pro forma financial statements. And again, focusing on tax planning, preparation for the business, the family owners, the family members rather, for the current tax planning as well as for the future. And again, partnering with these collaborating with the other partnerships is key to this process as well. Now, a lot of our companies our clients stop here. They're doing very well. They're achieving a lot of profit, a lot of cash flow, and they're content and they're happy here, and they're good for maybe a family transition or whatever the case might be. But some of our clients are looking to transition then to some kind of sale, right? So now the focus shifts a little bit. How do we execute on what is the plan for succession? How are we going to transition this company either internally or externally? So they're evaluating exit opportunities, liquidity implications. How do we optimize this value? When do we start the process? We want to think about it some kind of transition 3 to 5 years out. Let's not wait. Let's start doing the planning now to increase that value. What changes can we make now to increase that value 3 to 5 years down the road? And then when you get to that point, we're doing some of the due diligence process to help them through that seller side due diligence process. So quality of earnings, working with other outside investors, private equity firms, investment bankers, whatever the case might be, managing the transaction process, also interacting with lawyers on the estate and tax side, right? Like, well, how's the structure? What's it mean from an estate tax perspective, from a transfer of wealth perspective? Preparing long-term transition plans. If the transaction does happen, we tend to work a lot on the integration of the companies, and a lot of the buyers, a 90-day plan or whatever the case may be, they want maybe a more sophisticated level of reporting that the smaller company may be used to. So how do we get that company up to speed in terms of the reporting, the types of reports that these new buyers may want to have, and how do we do that quickly and accurately in the first 90 or so days, and that whole integration. And then again, the tax planning. So, in this phase of life, we're interacting with the outside investors, capital providers, wealth managers then at that point, because now they're generating this wealth from a family office perspective that somebody's going to want to manage going forward. So then we start to bring in the wealth management advisors as well. So give you a couple examples of how we've done this with some of our clients. So this is a client that has been a client of our firm for over 12 years, and they started from very small business, but they're in specialty pharmacy distribution and infusion sites. And in the early stages, we were doing like basic QuickBooks. We were kind of everything. They had a real reliance on our firm. They trusted our firm. And then as they grew, we kind of grew with them. And they said, hey, you need to probably get your own controller and bookkeepers in there, and then eventually a CFO. And now they're about a $250 million distribution of specialty pharmacy across the country with different infusion sites. And currently, as the company has grown, we've kind of provided this controller role, helping them with month-end close, process improvements. They went out and hired their own controller. So now our role shifts each month. We hold a meeting with the controller and the owners of the company to kind of go through a full financial reporting package with a lot of key metrics in place. The drivers of their business in terms of profitability, cash flow, key metrics in terms of perhaps profit by drug and things of that nature. The key metrics that the client is really looking for. They now also have a need for an audit. They did a very large refinancing. They did a carve out of one of the businesses on the infusion side. So we're dealing with investment bankers, we're dealing with the outside auditors, we're dealing with another firm that actually did the quality of earnings because they wanted a different independent firm to do that since we were so ingrained. And so it's been a great client in the history of our firm over the last 10 years. And I think we're going to probably move into the next phase because they're going to sell a piece of the business, they're going to refinance this and continue to evolve. But these are the areas where we've supported them along the way, from small little company using QuickBooks to evolving into more higher technology, different systems, softwares, and the nuts and bolts is being handled by somebody else, but we're still involved, helping more on the data analytics and the data review of the performance of the company on a monthly basis, kind of like almost like an outside board type meeting that we have with the CEO and his partners. This is on the other end of the spectrum. Very small, $10 million SaaS company. Very small in terms of employee headcount, really light in the accounting space. So we kind of did everything in the accounting function, right? So we kind of came in, stood up the whole accounting function, did the month-end close, operational accounting from employee expense reimbursement, sales tax, AR. We had to partner with other firms on this along the way because these are not our areas of expertise, but it was a need for the company, so we would bring in the other providers. Then we shifted from basic accounting controllership to more on the financial analysis and cash flow reporting side, and then we helped them implement NetSuite and then some sales tax software. So much smaller company, much different needs currently, but not much different than the other company in the early stages of life. This one's a little bit different even. This is commercial real estate business. Owns a bunch of real estate out in the Ohio area, and we performed a few different functions here. Started out as an interim controller. They needed a controller. I think someone left the company, and we filled that gap for a while. But then when we were doing that, we helped them redesign their whole accounting workflow. Did some process improvements stuff. They needed to get some financial statements in accordance with GAAP for an audit, and then as we accomplished those things and our role shifts and ebbs and flows over time, we shifted more to a strategic planning role where we met with them on a quarterly basis, kind of went through their results, helped the CEO present a board type package to the family that owned the company. So our role shifted, and I think it's going to reshift again this year due to changes in their business. So we might be jumping back in a little bit more in the details, but again, they needed a business valuation done, so we don't provide that. So we had to bring in a business valuation firm to help with some of that. And so, the overall relationship shifts and ebbs and flows over time, but we're still always playing some kind of a role there to help advise them, understand their needs, and then bring in the right areas of expertise. So then, the second part is, how do you build a sustainable and scalable accounting and finance organization through this life cycle as you're going across your growth, right? And it starts with some of the basic blocking and tackling, right? Monthly close stuff, getting timely financials closed out on a timely basis, to then more financial analysis and reporting, and then maybe with a little bit more focus on business planning and budgeting, and then where we want to really focus on is a dynamic FP&A process with the company, and then ultimately, doing some process improvement. So let me walk through a couple thoughts on this. So in working with small to middle market companies for the last 25 years of our firm, what we've noticed in these and make recommendations in these various phases are below. So some in the accounting, foundational stuff, right? The goal is to get timely and accurate accounting records. It's amazing sometimes when we meet with a client and it takes them 30 days to close the financials. I don't know how, as a business owner, you can make decisions when you haven't closed for 30 days, right? So our first step in the process is we need to find out what's holding you up. The goal is here to close the month out timely, and accurately, but we need to move the process up a little bit so you can have timely data to make decisions, close out the month, close out the year, whatever the case may be, and move forward more in an FP&A capacity. So, what we try to do is have a consistent application of GAAP on a monthly basis. Let's not wait till the end of the year to make these adjustments. Let's define what the month-end close process looks like. Our target is to do this within 10 days. We then understand what technology they're currently using and what improvements can we make there. There's many cloud-based technology platforms that we can shift to. What ERP capabilities should we shift to help them close out their accounting on a more consistent but also timely basis. Some of the other basic blocking and tackling is like, do you have chart of accounts that are aligned? Do you have multiple entities? Are they the same? Can we simplify and make things a little bit more standardized and consistent across your entities or across your business lines? We want a process where we're doing balance sheet account reconciliations on a contemporaneous basis. A lot of times clients that have a problem, they haven't done balance sheet reconciliations, and then becomes a project at the end of the year where they haven't. If you just keep up with it on a monthly basis, it's much more easy to understand that, where the accounts are, but you're not creating a project at the end of the year to reconcile. You're going to do it along the way. And then what's your control process, right? Do you have good segregation of duties? Do you have a good understanding of materiality? Do you have a good understanding of where the risks and the fraud might be? So we do a lot of understanding the controls, the processes, roles and responsibilities, helping them document standard operating procedures. We want to make this more of a system-based, not an individual-based. If somebody leaves your company, then you don't know what to do, right? So we spend a lot of time reviewing and assessing their processes, their controls, to understand things, how they're currently done, but then make some recommendations and work with them to standardize and document the processes for a timely and accurate accounting close. This is kind of the foundational stuff. Without good accounting close information, we can't really make good business decisions. So this is kind of first base, step one. We need to get this tightened up. Then we really try to push them to understand their business a little bit better, right? A lot of times it's amazing how many times companies fail to quantify how things are going. And we really need to really hone in on the details, right? So, what software tools are you using? How do we get single source of truth? There's CRM, Salesforce, there's other, software, ERP, maybe there's something like Power BI over top of all that, but data's coming from different areas. How do we pull it together in a way so we have one single source of truth for everything? And then from there, how do we get that data in a way that is helpful for the business owner? I mean, our goal is to deal with the business owners, not the accountant, right? We want to understand, what is important to the business owner and how do they like the data to be seen? So a lot of times it shifts from, a normal P&L and balance sheet may not mean as much to the business owner, the entrepreneur. How do we craft that data in a way that makes sense to them? A lot of using of charts, graphs, benchmarking, trends, anomalies, and we do this on a month-to-month, year-over-year basis. And then we want to understand if they have a management report that needs to be prepared or outside stakeholders, what's important to them, and let's prepare the reports appropriately with a real focus on KPIs and benchmarks. But each business, we're kind of industry agnostic, but each business and industry has their important KPIs. So we work with them to craft a dashboard report that gives them the KPIs they need to understand, manage their business, and make decisions going forward. In terms of the next area of focus is in the business planning and budgeting, right? So we're working with them to create budgets for each line of business, for each area, operation, location, whatever the case might be. And then, getting, a bottoms-up type approach for the budgets, but also getting the key leaders of the business to input. What's most important from the leadership perspective? So it's more of a top-down approach, but also a bottoms-up approach so they can kind of, they synergize that way. And then refining it throughout the process. A lot of times, I'll hear from a client, oh, we just want to do better than last year. But you need to have a plan, right? So let's put together a plan, let's put together a budget, let's analyze it on a monthly basis, and let's then make adjustments. Again, in this area, they're becoming profitable, cash flow positive. We really need to hone in on taxes. Taxes could take 40 to 50% of your cash flow away, right? So what kind of strategies can we come up with that align with your business strategy that will help you save, defer, minimize, whatever the case might be, current taxes as well as taxes down the road. And then we're starting to focus on exit and liquidity for these owners. How do we structure the company in the right way for some success in that space? And then again, in the M&A world, if you're bringing in companies or selling off companies, it would impact all these budgets and forecasts that we would be doing. But this is where we really want to play. And it's amazing how many companies between, startup, 100 million, they don't really do anything in the FP&A world. Dave and I were on a call yesterday with maybe $100 million organization, and the CEO was very happy with his controller function, but he's like, we have no one in FP&A. And so I don't know what's going to happen their June year end, what's going to happen between now and June. And I have a board meeting package to present. So we really push our clients to focus on the FP&A world and creating a forecast and revising that forecast on a really periodic basis. So, what we'd like to create is a rolling 18-month forecast with what-if scenario planning ability. We don't want to wait to the end of the year to forecast. We try to do that throughout the year. We're looking 18 months out. And then we also like to have a longer-term plan. So ideally, you're going to have a 5-year high-level forecast, you're going to have an 18-month forecast, and then you're going to have a 13-week cash flow forecast. And part of the process is each month we're going to close it out. We're going to look at this forecast. We're going to make adjustments to the 13-week forecast. We might make some adjustments to the 18-month longer-term forecast. And then, maybe once a year, we're looking higher level, big picture. What's the 5-year plan? Do we need to make any adjustments here? But it's amazing how many times companies do not have any kind of FP&A activity. And then, you get a situation where, they're going to be acquired or somebody's interested in it and they have to then build the plan at that point in time, perhaps. So we're really encouraging our clients, let's put together these plans now. Let's revisit it. Let's focus on the short term with making adjustments from the cash flow, but let's look long term, create this ability to be able to forecast, play what if scenarios within the model. You want to have a real detailed bottoms up high level forecast. You want to have it at a high level so you can just play some what if sales, what if this changes, what if our margins change, how does this impact our business? So this is a key area of focus for us in our FP&A world, and I view it as an area where a lot of growing organizations, entrepreneurial organizations, don't have the ability to do this. They don't have the people on their team. They have a lot of history keepers, controllers, bookkeepers, but they don't have the ability to take that data and put that in a forward-looking forecast. And then the last piece of the puzzle is just continuous improvement. How do we automate things differently? How do we use some ERP systems to automate, create dashboards, process improvement, business technology, artificial intelligence, whatever the case might be. We kind of try to keep attuned to what's going on in the marketplace. What new technology or systems can we use to continuously improve the ability of the company's reporting and make decision making? So just to kind of highlight a last example here, this is a client that we worked with for a very long time through all these different stages. And in the early stage, we were helping them on the accounting side do a month end. They were a mess early on. We got the month end closed to be able to close in 8 days. We used the SharePoint site to do the bank reconciliations. We helped them establish a monthly process on the revenue recognition, so it wasn't a year-end issue. Then we shifted to this software called LucaNet, which is the ability to pull that single source truth together on the financial side, but also has the forecasting ability and the ability to do the KPIs and things of that nature. And then we helped them build a 5-year plan. They shifted that 5-year plan over to somebody internally. We move into the advisory capacity. We're working with the CFO. He builds the plan. We review it. We meet monthly with the owner, do a quarterly reforecast, monthly cash flow, and then we added some things on the software side to improve the visibility on the AR and AP side of things. So that's an example of how we work with a company to go through these phases. This is what we believe companies need to focus on, really focusing on the accounting first with timely, accurate data, but then really focusing on where are we going forward. So that is all I had in terms of a formal presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any questions, get any insights from anybody. Joe? A lot of times, Joe, we get our clients from either our clients' referrals or from other advisors that we work with. Banks, lawyers, wealth managers, private equity firms. We're not doing much in the marketing or the cold calling space. It's relationship-based driven business. So building strong relationships with our clients, doing a really good job with our clients. They refer us to others, and then interacting with these partnerships that I mentioned tends to be the biggest source of referrals that we get. Question? I don't know that I can say that there are any specific trends, Ernie. We have a lot of different clients in a lot of different industry space. I think what we really encourage our clients to do is focus on top-line growth, but with a focus on profitable growth. Like I was looking at a client yesterday that grew 10% year over year, but their margin actually went down incrementally on that growth, right? So I think it's more of a focus on how are you growing? Is it profitable growth? Is it generating cash flow? We let the business owners, they know their business better than we know their business. We really encourage them to understand the financial performance and then make some improvements in areas to improve profitability on the margins and the cash flow side of things. So I don't know, I didn't directly answer your question in terms of a trend. I don't know, Dave, do you have any thought to that? Yeah. M&A. Yeah, it's been a little slower recently, but it's might be picking up in the second half of the year. But sure. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. No. Thank you very much.